The series begins with two more dead people rising from the Urana cemetery. A girl, Belle, and another man, Taichi, awaken from the dead. Belle belonged to an extremely religious family and had died around 15 years ago, while Kai belonged to medieval times. This unlikely duo comes face to face, none of them realizing that they were already dead before. They find themselves naked and in a cemetery, and Belle casually believes that she must have been sleepwalking again. Both of them decide to get out of the cemetery together. On their way, we see a paranoid William desperately trying to wake up Alicia from her grave. Elsewhere, James has found it very difficult to deal with the loss of Sarah. He cannot comprehend what had happened to him and find himself always a lot less social and irritated. He takes his young daughter Nia back to his parents' place to spend some time with them, hoping that he could clear his mind with the time spent out of Urana. As Belle and Taichi walk through the forest, they stumble upon a temple-like structure, and Belle remembers one time, when she was with her brother and sister, that she had fallen off the top of this temple. The structure also triggers Tai's memories, who remembers the time when he had just arrived at the gold scavenging camp alongside some of his other fellow Chinese. The gold hunting Australians who had brought them there tell them that they need a permit to search for gold, which costs 30 shillings. There Taichi met a man named Li Wei-yun, who was a fan of the famous opera that Taichi ran back in China. Li asks him why he was here hunting gold, and Taichi tells him that the opera had gone bankrupt once the crops had died, and so he had no other choice. Li suggests that they start the opera back here, and wishes that he sings alongside Taichi. Now having regained some of their memories, the two strangers finally acquaint themselves with their names. Taichi, who still believes that he is at the same time as before, asks if Belle can give him some money so that he can get the permit, and the ignorant girl readily agrees without even asking. Belle had come to realize that her home was nearby and takes the man along with her. After cleaning the dirt off their bodies, they quickly hide when they realize that some people have approached the road nearby. The people that had just appeared in a car were Owen and Kate, who were heading out of Urana. At the border, Kate tests if she can escape the place or not without any issues, and realizes that there is no barrier preventing her from leaving. After this simple test, the duo leaves, allowing Taichi and Belle to escape unnoticed. Even back at his parents' home, James cannot seem to calm down. He is extremely rude and unpleasant to his parents, who just want to help him. James' father takes him to a nearby pub to calm down, and James breaks down as he relates to his father that his wife was gone. He doesn't tell her that she is gone for good, however, so his father suggests that he head back to Urana and deal with the issues he is having with his wife. When James goes to the bathroom, it appears as if he dies for a moment again, and then regains his consciousness. He returns back to his father and agrees to leave Nia back with them as he heads back to Urana. Belle, on the other hand, leads Taichi back to her home and even hands her some clothes. She asks him to wait outside as she goes in and gets him some money. As she gets into her room, she is seen by a startled Luke, her younger brother, who appears much older. Belle doesn't even recognize her brother, but soon she sees her parents, who are scared to see her there. Her younger sister Judith is also grown up now, and even has a daughter of her own. The scared parents calm themselves, and Belle's mother calms her down and introduces her to the family. Outside, Taichi wanders too close to the house, and is scared off by Luke, who seems to be more troubled by the reappearance of her sister than anyone else. Belle is confused as she doesn't yet know that she had been dead for the last 15 years. And her mother as well tells her that she was in a coma. She hands her a drink and locks her up in her room. Belle's parents are definitely planning something crazy. Taichi, both homeless and without anyone he recognizes, stumbles into the streets of Urana. He notices a Cantonese restaurant and encounters Trevor Wang, who takes him in and even feeds him. Trevor realizes that perhaps the man was just a lost tourist, and so he gives him proper food while he calls the cops who can help him out. Elsewhere, in a weird-looking secluded laboratory, Professor Hasten is working on testing the Risen. She has currently been working on Phil, who apparently didn't die even after being shot by Sarah. The professor and her assistant work on an open brain surgery, where they test brainwaves of Phil to see how the whole coming back thing works. Hasten, however, didn't want to stop there. She calls her security and tells him to track down all the other Risen people so that she can experiment on them. Later, when Phil inquires why she was doing what she was doing, Hasten reveals that her 2 children were dead and she could perhaps bring them back with all of this. Phil, who clearly thinks this is a bad idea, tells her that she needs to stop everything, but the professor is adamant on carrying out her research. The two get into an argument, and just like that, Phil strangles the doctor to death. He then disposes of the body and escapes the lab. Back at her house, Belle's parents actually want to burn her alive and drag her to the nearby church and purify her. Belle's mother finally reveals that she had actually died 15 years ago, and that her coming back now only meant that she was a devil. They tie her up and decide that later that day they would burn her along with the church. At Trevor's restaurant, Taichi quickly realizes that they were actually ghosts whose souls were trapped on Earth, and tells Trevor that he needed to save Belle and heads out. That night, as the whole psychotic family burns down the house along with Belle inside it, Taichi gets there in time to save his risen friend. As they walk away from the crazy people, they are met with Officer Chris, who offers to help them. Chris drives Belle and Kai back to the cemetery, where they see that William is still groveling over the grave of Alicia, hoping that she would somehow come back to life. Chris offers to help the man, but William wants nothing to do with them. He just walks away. William walks down the streets heading back to Urana and gets in a little accident. The car that hits him is being driven by a woman named Millie and her 2 friends. As soon as William sees Millie, he realizes that it wasn't Alicia that he saw in her dreams, it was Millie. He starts talking in code, and the girls believe that he must have been in a concussion. They decide to take him along with them to a nearby store to get some first aid. Elsewhere, Kate and Owen reach a nearby location, and their car's tires go flat. Realizing that they cannot get a proper signal, and there is no mechanic shop anywhere around, the 2 decide to take shelter in a nearby pub. The pub is run by another weird-looking man, who instantly starts giving Kate the wrong vibe, and she decides that perhaps they could take shelter elsewhere. However, as Kate decides to leave, it turns out that Owen was also with the weird-looking man and had brought her there on purpose. The man was an ex-criminal who Owen had met in prison. Owen didn't have any bad intentions though. He just wanted to ask Kate to give her some of her blood. His sister was terminally ill with cancer, and Owen wanted to transfuse Kate's blood with her so that she could live. Kate is pissed that Owen didn't just ask her straight away, but still decides to help. Millie takes William to a local pub where she and her friends had come to the party. She reveals that she had gotten a job in an experimental physics lab in the next state. In the pub, however, William gets weirdly attracted by light and goes back in his memories. William was a person from centuries in the past. He had already been revived from the dead before. The priests had captured him and asked him about his sins. They had lashed out the whole backside of the man, but the wounds had healed before they had even begun the interrogation. William reveals that he was the captain of a ship that had run aground. Everyone in that ship had died except him, who had somehow come back from the dead. The priest listens to his story in awe and asks him if he is an angel, but William doesn't think he is an angel. He is no creature of God. The man tells the priest that he had broken the code of the world. He had risen from the dead, and that was not supposed to happen, and told the priests to hang him. And now he was back again. After regaining much of his memories, he heads to the bathroom, weirded out by the strange man. Millie follows, and they both notice a water drop suspended in the air, clearly disobeying the laws of gravity. They rush back to tell it to the others, but they do not believe it, even though Millie shows them that this phenomenon was happening in countless other places on the earth. Outside, the man sent by the professor finds them, and he and William get into a scuffle. William somehow manages to escape the man after injuring him gravely, and Millie takes him back to her apartment. As the woman nurses William's wounds, the lights around them start to flicker and fade and come back again. This was exactly what William had seen in his visions. The world had stopped following the laws of physics. The universe wasn't expanding, it was contracting, and his appearance had triggered it all. The world was coming to an end. Realizing what he had to do, William leaves. Back at the pub, Kate reluctantly gives some of her blood. She doesn't have much interest in the whole thing. However, when she sees Owen's sister, she starts to see that she was similar to her back when she was alive. Kate helps her with the blood transfusion and announces that her work was now done. She tells Owen to look after his sister and tries to leave, while Owen wants to let her go. His friend and one other guy want to sell Kate in the dark web. They think that a woman who had come back to life could fetch quite the price. They try to subdue Kate and keep her captive, but Owen helps her escape. In the process, however, Owen is shot by the guy as he pursues Kate, and Owen apprehends him. Kate takes the keys to the guy's truck and runs from there, frantically realizing that her friend was dead. She drives all the way through the night until the gas in the truck runs down. She then stops a truck that is passing by and asks for a phone. She then calls the one person she knew she could trust, James. James tells her to come back to the lake house in Urana and he will help her out. As the man drives around, he notices William walking around. The two come face to face. James offers to help William out, but William just runs away. Strangely, they even get into a weird scuffle, but after a while, they stop. They come to a common conclusion. Sarah and the others were right. All the people who had risen needed to die so that the world could survive. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit that like button to help our channel grow. Turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.